Do you know what that means? Eagle viewing season is almost here, and the National Eagle Center is your headquarters for information and experiences. This winter, experience bald and golden eagles in the wild with an unforgettable, expert-led field trip. Plan your private eagle habitat tour and learn where the best eagle viewing is with weekly eagle counts. Plus, you can visit the eagles at the center all season long. Plan your visit or experience today online at nationaleaglecenter.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights we're talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. We have big news. We've moved to North Minneapolis.
Why did you move?
As a Black business owner, I wanted to be part of the North Minneapolis community to provide jobs.
Are there other reasons you moved there?
We have bigger new equipment and outgrew the other location.
What kind of new equipment do you have?
We have new equipment that allows us to print quality signage and banners. We also have a new inkjet printer, printing larger sheets, improving production efficiencies.
Is the new location easy to find?
It's not only easy to find, it's more convenient with plenty of parking. We are now located on Washington Avenue North off I-94 and the Dowling exit.
So do you still print everything?
We print more than everything. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, decreasing clouds with a low of 25, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 31. Make this holiday season extra magical with an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant or food purveyor. Perfect for all occasions from family to friends to work gatherings. Visit eatlocalminnesota.com to see the list of restaurants and food purveyors.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut, gave him.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local, national, and even Wisconsin news and events. And as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
You are right, Dega. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon, supporting honest Native news, stories, and events. Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Hey, we got some new people, and I just want to give a big shout out to people that are donating to us. You know, of course, a lot of our show is on commercial radio, so support our sponsors, but also if you feel the need to support us, there you go on Patreon, and we really appreciate that and keeps us going. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, and she's executive director of Merge Wisconsin, and it was her birthday, so I just got to play this real quick.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Hey, happy belated birthday there, Arvina.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. I was wondering if it was going to be something that I heard or listened to when I was a kid, the Indian Chipmunks. Does it ring a bell for anybody?
No,
No.
but I'm writing
Oh
that
my
down.
God, it was amazing. I listened to that tape all the time.
Well, yeah, happy birthday, Arvina. Great to see
Thank
you. I
you.
know we have a couple other birthday shout outs. I just want to give a big birthday shout out to Minnesota State Senator Mary Kunesh of
Yes.
Standing Rock Sioux. It was her birthday yesterday.
Our
And she
regular
has the same.
our regular on Fridays. We love
Yeah.
State Senator Mary Kunesh.
Yes, we love Mary, but yeah, very cool. She shares the same birthday as my Gaga and your auntie. So yeah, happy birthday to them. Lots of birthdays.
Happy birthday, Barb. Oh, the dog's agreeing. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, so Arvina, I saw also too that you're out of retirement now too. I saw you with the rollerblades on, or not the roller skates.
Skates. Yep. I'm making my triumphant return to the roller derby track, and I had practice last night, and I'm sore, and I love it.
Ah, yeah, and we're blessed here. We have a thriving roller derby, women roller derby people here in St. Paul. I know they get down at downtown St. Paul.
Yeah, I mean, the cities has two. There's the Minnesota Roller Derby, and then there is North Star Roller Derby, both really great leagues. And, it's my dream to play someday at the Roy in Minnesota. It's well known as like the best roller derby venue, and we're going to be playing. Madison Roller Derby is going to have our home season opener on December 9th at the Alliant Energy Center. If you are in the Madison area or want to make a trip to the Madison area and come see me stumble around and try to pretend like I haven't been off skates for a few years.
Oh, and that's a big shout out too. We'll have to remind people at the end of this about that too, because as you know, Arvina, we're in 18 stations in Wisconsin, so
Woohoo!
including Madison. So it's a short trip on the Civic Media Network, and we love our friends in Wisconsin, even if they're winning football games all of a sudden. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts.
Well, we were crushed. We had 5 in a row, and the party's over again. And now we're all back to being naysayers about our football team here.
Yeah, we're kind of getting into it too, and I don't know. I remember living in the 80s and having all Wisconsin sports teams just be terrible. So I can, we've had a 25-year dynasty, and I'm okay with a rebuilding year. It happens.
Yeah, it does. It does. It definitely does. I know the early 80s, though, you had a good baseball team, and led by Paul Molitor here.
Yay, Paul Molitor, Polly Molly. I was too young. That was like 82 when they went to the World Series, and I was like 2 and or 3 the entire time. So I wasn't super paying attention at that point.
That's cool. Hey, so we've been our theme is thanks taking this week, and we've been talking about all our native guests about how they feel about this holiday that people take off, and then we have Black Friday, and then Monday it's Ho Chunk Day. So I mean,
I thought it was Friday is Ho Chunk Day.
I think
Is that Native American Heritage Day is Friday, and
well, when I was on city council, I got it put into ordinance with our mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, so that the city of Madison officially celebrates Ho Chunk Day on the Friday after Thanksgiving. So we celebrate that, and it's in the ordinances even, so it's official.
Cool. I love that.
I got to put some applause up on there. I got to use that applause button. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, and then how do you celebrate? What do these days look like for you? Because I know, especially since Standing Rock, I call it Thanks-taking.
My family gets together. Most of us live around the Madison area, so we get together and just eat and really good food. Our Thanksgiving has changed a bit as my sister's husband, so also my husband, his family's right. His parents were born and lived in Taiwan. So when they come, they bring Chinese food too. So we get a pretty good spread, and you know, I always tell people that it's not wrong, or in my opinion, it's not wrong to take time and celebrate things that you're grateful for and you're thankful for. And I think we can change this holiday and talk less about pilgrims, and talk more about, these are the things that have happened over the past year that I'm thankful for and I'm grateful for. And I think maybe if more people really kind of got into thinking about gratitude and the things that they are happy for in their lives, maybe that would help shift some of the terrible things that are happening now. Like, will we still have a democracy, after in a year? But being able to, I'm sorry.
We'll talk about that second segment. But
right.
but yeah, I agree. And being in a 12-step program, I don't want to really talk about what it is, but this is Gratitude Month. So that's right in the jam what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think that we can, take the holiday back. I mean, in our communities, we do celebrate things like the harvest, and, it kind of falls into those kinds of lines. And I think it makes sense to spend that time thinking about everything that you've accomplished over the last year, whether it is, growing enough food to get you through the winter, or, your daughter learning to ride a bike, or, things like that. It can be any of that kind of stuff. And I think that we don't take enough time to, we gripe about everything and we complain, and, we should take time to think about the good things in our lives and the things that we are thankful for. And I think we can do that without talking about pilgrims.
Oh, perfect. I love it. And I agree 100%. Hey, yeah, it's Thanksgiving, but it's also a time to be with family. And I know Wendy's flying in tonight from New York, and hopefully she's either not overbooked and making some money off the airlines and coming in the next day, or we'll figure that out. But it's exciting, and it's a good time to be thankful and to reflect. Hey, we're with Arvina Martin, CEO of Emerge Wisconsin, and we're going to be right back after this short break. Hoa!
Stay with us.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
Hi, I'm Claudia with MinSure, Minnesota's official health insurance marketplace. With MinSure, you can compare health plans from multiple companies and get free help from a trusted expert. Whatever health plan you choose with MinSure, it's guaranteed to cover essential benefits, so you can get the care you need. See if you qualify for discounts, available only through MinSure. If you need quality comprehensive health insurance, get started now at minsure.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
Right on, and they do great work. And I just got to say before we get back to the executive director Arvina Martin of Merge Wisconsin, Haley and I had lunch today at Owamni, and we were talking before the show. Is that wow? We feel energized after eating that food. It's amazing, and I didn't have any coffee, and I feel like I have had coffee. So talking about food and celebration in a good way is good medicine. Welcome back, Arvina.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. It's with all of the junk and the very processed stuff that we eat, it's kind of crazy to eat something that's stripped down and still tastes good, and it's the right fuel that your body needs. And you're giving your body what it needs, and it's exciting to feel that, be like, oh my gosh, this is what it's supposed to be like.
That's exactly what we thought too. We were drinking some tea. I forget what it was. It was amazing warm tea, especially perfect for a day like today. And we had to double check and even triple check. We're like, is there caffeine in this? And there wasn't. But, just it's crazy what, putting the right nutrients and the right food that comes directly from the ground or, from our animals and our plants. It's wild how quickly you'll feel those effects in your body.
And then eating a whole bunch and instead of feeling that kind of food coma, it's the other way around. And you're like, let's go, let's do this.
Well, Arvina, I don't know if you know this, but Wendy, my wife, she's a vegan. So we don't eat the turkey, but we've had different things over the years, and I think we finally found a good jam to substitute. But all the other ingredients like the potatoes, gravy, and the stuffing and cranberries, that's all vegan. So
yeah,
we love it, and we celebrate that way. I don't know if you can see over my shoulder here, but I did get the
his Barbie doll.
Wilma Mancular Barbie doll.
Cool.
It came out.
I love it. I kind of want to get one, but I have so much stuff. I need to get rid of things before I bring more things into my house.
I tell Robert the same thing.
Oh my God.
It must be a Ho Chunk thing.
I don't know.
Probably.
Some of my Ho Chunk elders love that Goodwill, and I'm right with them. Ho.
I actually was at Goodwill looking for my daughter's Halloween costume with her, and I saw a scarf from far away, and I'm like, that looks like a native design. And I looked at it, and it was an 8th generation scarf that I got for $3, and I was like, score! Yes! So I'm pretty pleased with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, now the fun and games are over here now. Politically, how are things happening in Wisconsin here? I know last time we talked about they're trying to impeach a new Supreme Court person that was just elected in and it's done nothing wrong. And I'll say the name Protasewicz because I practiced that, and we had her on the show during the election. And what any updates on that insanity?
Yeah, no, they are holding off for the time being. I know that Robin Voss was advised. I mean, we're finding from public or open records requests that the speaker Robin Voss had been trying to kind of pull or be advised by other former Supreme Court justices or other folks that are in the legal community, and they all told him, no, don't impeach her. So that has been kind of sidelined, but I don't put it past them to come out with an impeachment, just out of the blue. But the Supreme Court is currently hearing arguments on whether the maps, the legislative district lines in our state are legal. So, we all have our fingers crossed that we can fix the damage done by the gerrymandering. I mean, Wisconsin state legislative districts are among the most gerrymandered in the country, and it's ridiculous. If you look at the stats about who voted Democrat versus Republican for statewide races, versus who, how the state legislative seats went, I mean, it doesn't add up. And it's, packing as many Democrats as they can into a district, and gerrymandering and figuring out how to maximize their majority instead of, and it turns into legislators picking their constituents as opposed to constituents picking their legislators.
Yeah, well said. And we always say, what a bummer for our friend Trisha Zunker, our relative, who would be jamming right now. And I heard somewhere where the gerrymandering so bad that for somebody in order to win would have to get 65% of the vote, a Democrat, and 45% for the Republican. So that's. Did you? We reported, Haley reported, I should say, a couple days ago that South Dakota, our friend Ruth Buffalo, who's been on our show many times, she was gerrymandered. Yeah, she's been gerrymandered out of her seat, and now they found what did they find, Haley? That it was district wrong and correctly, and their own Supreme Court is like changing it back.
Yeah, it was like they're going through a very similar situation actually in North Dakota too, with the redistricting, and a federal judge found it illegal and that it diluted the North Dakota Native vote. So
yeah.
I wonder about that in Wisconsin too, that various tribes, or especially the Ojibwe bands, being split up rather than being in the same, whatever legislative district. Also in eastern Wisconsin, whether it is, Stockbridge, Menominee, and Oneida, and or, Potawatomi and Mole Lake. They're. I mean, I back when we had the recall in 2011, I believe, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel did a analysis of what are the most red and blue municipalities in Wisconsin. So this data is over a decade old, but they found that, what we expected, some of the bluest municipalities are the city of Madison, the city of Milwaukee, Shorewood Hills, which is right next to Madison. But then the other ones, all the other municipalities were things like that were either on or adjacent to tribal communities and reservations. So like the town of Brockway, down by Black River Falls, is one of the bluest municipalities in the state. And so, I think that disenfranchising Native voters, who are some of the most Democratic voters in the state, is tragic, and I mean, it's just wrong.
Exactly. And again, let's swing back now to your job as executive director, and how I think important not only that women are in the races, but also Native women too. Let's talk a little bit about that, because we find anywhere from, and I used to joke, dog catcher, but that's to say anywhere from school board on up, we need more representation, and in order to change things, because as we see nationally with the crisis caucus, or whatever you want to call those meatballs. I mean, I was in Washington, Arvina, and we went into the Charisse got us tickets into the chambers, and it was just like, I can't even be here to see these people in person. I mean, it's like I want to yell something, but I didn't. But it's just we need our friends and relatives to run.
Absolutely. I mean, you can think about it like when the pandemic first started, and the fact that both Congress and the US Senate are majority white and male and older. I pardon the description, but I've heard it described as stale, pale, and male. Um, but so it was remarkable to see all of these legislators realize that issues that families are facing, like dealing with childcare, they acted like they'd never heard of this before. And I guarantee that had we had more women, more people that are not millionaires, participating and being members of Congress and the US Senate, that this would not have taken a global pandemic to figure out that childcare is very important to individual families, but also collectively, and it has a huge impact on our economy, and so because these guys are older and haven't dealt with childcare presumably in a while or ever even, this was an issue that never occurred to them. And I like to say that we all have our blind spots. And so when you are in a legislative body and people have different experiences, your collective blind spots get smaller. And I think that that's the way that kind of representation is important to making policy that is going to be effective and is actually going to help families and people, regular folks out, constituencies. So
I think
yes.
you lost your audio, Arvina.
Oh no. Can you hear me yet? No.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Okay. Just do you mind giving out your website real quick?
Yeah, and if you're interested in running for office, go to wi.emergeamerica.org. We are accepting applications from women and non-binary folks that feel comfortable in female-centered spaces. Come and learn how to run for office and start making that change.
Thank you so much, Peony Gigi, Arvina Martin, for coming on. The energy is always so positive. We miss you when we miss you, so thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
for doing the show for me when I took a few days off. I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Be a vaccinative. As the fall season continues, new COVID-19 variants threaten the health of not just you, but our elders as well. These new variants might even evade previous vaccines. That's why it's important to stay up to date. The newly authorized vaccines target current variants effectively and are FDA approved for ages 6 months and older. But there is an important note. These are the first COVID vaccines to be commercialized, which means there may be costs associated with them. Speak with your health insurer about your coverage before scheduling an appointment to avoid a surprise bill. For those without health insurance, help is available. Ask your health clinic about options or visit vaccines.gov for free locations. Getting vaccinated protects you from severe disease. Don't put yourself or elders at risk. So be a vaccinative and protect our community. You can visit vaccines.gov for free vaccine locations.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health. Unveil the captivating world of native photography at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Their new exhibit, In Our Hands, Native Photography 1890 to Now, turns the camera around and puts native photographers in control, featuring hundreds of photographs captured by generations of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and Native Americans. You'll view the world through their lens, revealing the beauty and complexity of Indigenous heritage. Don't miss this incredible experience. Visit In Our Hands at the Minneapolis Institute of Art now through January 14th. For more info, visit artsmia.org.
Magus Books, your multicultural spiritual supply store. Stop in and expand your horizons with books, classes, readings, and supplies at magusbooks.com or in our shop at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis. From the best incense to beautiful statues, we have supplies and books for your spiritual explorations. Come in and chat with our knowledgeable staff and get what you need for your next adventure, whether you're fighting ghosts or opening your third eye. Check us out today at magusbooks.com.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, decreasing clouds with a low of 25, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 31. Make this holiday season extra magical with an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant or food purveyor. Perfect for all occasions from family to friends to work gatherings. Visit eatlocalminnesota.com to see the list of restaurants and food purveyors.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Great advertisers over the years. We really appreciate their support and all the PSAs and all the things. What a great relationship we have with them and great organization. Hey, Simone, what's up? We're with Simone Rendon of Edible Arts, and we also have Sam Thompson, and I want to get this right, American Indian Family and Children's Services.
That's right.
And thank you. We have a great producer here. How are things going? And, good to see you. And we miss you at the market.
Yes, the market was a great year this year, and I look forward to next year. But yeah, what we came to talk tonight about is foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have direct questions, or I can just go?
Well, yeah, I thought this would be really great. Kind of just a very good, heartwarming story right before the holiday season here. And Simone, I just want to give you like a big, huge thank you, and just for being the amazing person you are for diving into this type of work. I know the importance in keeping Native children with Native families is huge in our communities. And I think specifically in our family, we can relate to that a lot. So thank you for being here, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And we're excited to hear kind of how you got started in this work and the decision that was made to start.
Yeah. So when I was a teenager, a tween, I guess, my mom did foster care. And so we had foster siblings. And they were younger. They were like a newborn, and I think the oldest was 5. So there's 3 kids, and we had them for close to 2 years. And we lived deep in Phillips neighborhood, and there was a huge thing that had happened, and it was scary and hard. And we said, we can't have little kids around here. And so my mom had given them to go to a different foster home. And I still think about those kids today. And so when my birth children, I guess, grew up and moved out of the house, I spent a whole year just living on my own and realized I don't do well on my own. Mm-hmm. And so I started the application to be a foster parent, and I took my time with it. I think on average, it's 45 days is what it takes from start to finish. And I think I took closer to 4 months because I really wanted to answer the questions and do all of the videos and the training and really ask that question. Am I ready? Do I want to support another person? And what is that going to look like for me? Because I knew that I wanted to do infants. I have a lot of attention. Like a crying baby doesn't upset me in the same way that it does other people. And so I like really started to think about that. Like, okay, so when I get a baby and if it's a crier, like, am I going to hold it all the time? How am I going to have my place set up so that I can always see it and make sure that, it's okay. But also looking deep down inside, like, am I doing this because I'm missing something or I didn't do something right with my own kids? And so I just asked myself like all of those questions. And through that 4 months of filling out this paperwork and asking those questions, I came to the conclusion that I really want to do infants. I want to work towards reunification. I want to be a support person for that struggling parent, whether it's a mom or a dad. And how best to support a parent that's struggling better than to give their infant a really good start. And that's what I look at this job more or less is like, I'm there to give a really good start, that this isn't my baby. But I get to really love it. I really get to hold it and cherish it and tell it all the good things that it needs to hear because its body will remember that.
Right.
And at the same time telling it, like your mom or dad is working really hard to get you back. Like I really want to support that person in reunification.
Yeah, Simone's a poster child for being a foster parent with AIFACS, right? We're pushing those Native homes that are only there for that interim, right? Like we're not a foster to adopt. We're really there to provide that Native home in the interim while moms and dads and grandmas and aunties and uncles are working their case plans to really get their kids back in their families.
Wow, that's awesome, Sam. I'm a old foster child and an adoptee, and I was going to ask you because Simone was mentioning that, and that's the ultimate goal, and that sounds like to get them back to the family, and that's a beautiful thing, and that's something that's changed over the last 50 years, and thank goodness.
Yeah, that need is there. I mean, just to find families, especially Indigenous families that are there to provide that interim placement and just support and provide that safe space and say exactly like Simone said, you're doing a great job. I'm here for you, and mom and dad and grandma and grandpa are doing what they need to, or we're there for it if they're not too, and how best we can support that whole constellation of families, right?
Well, Sam, before I get back to Simone, I want you to maybe pop out some information that our Native people listening to the show can reach out to you. How can they get a hold of you and start that process that Simone talked about?
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys. So AIFACS, American Indian Family and Children Services, we license all across the state. Our kind of home base is in St. Paul, but we do have a licenser up in McGregor who does like the greater Minnesota. And someone 45 days is if somebody's really, really pushing through it, I think taking those couple of months to go through the training and go through all of the paperwork to really figure out if that's the best option for you and really understand it. I think that is the best thing that you can do. At AIFACS, we do have an onboarding specialist, somebody who can meet you out on site, somebody that can walk you through any of the barriers that you might have to try and help you through that licensing process. The best place to start is just going to our website. It's aifacs.org. So that's AIFACS.org. You can find training there. You can find the online platform that we use for the licensing process. And really all that contact information for us. And if you're at the Four Sisters Farmers Market throughout the summer, Simone has a pile of my cards that she's just handing out like candy. So you can reach out to me as well. And yeah, we can walk you through it, the beginning, the middle, and as long as you want to be a foster provider too.
Well, Simone, you were handing around that baby like candy too, that cute little baby you had in your booth. That was awesome. I was just going, I see this baby everywhere. Everyone's holding it. It was great, and it good for her and good for you. Or I think it was a her, right? Or
little boy.
Really leaning on those community supports. That's what it's for.
Yes, and that was the other thing I was going to say is in those months I really reached out to family members and said, like, this is what I'm looking at doing. I would want some support. I will need some support. I live in an apartment building. And so I went to every like adjoining wall and across the hall to my neighbors. And I said, I'm looking at doing foster care for infants. And because some of the infants really are born with different substances in their systems, there's a chance that I could get a colicky baby. So there might be a crying baby that's crying all the time. And what I found out is that 3 of my neighbors have offered to look into foster care, to be a support person, and to sign up to possibly do respite.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I have been wanting to build a community, but I didn't realize that I did build a community around me until that moment.
And exactly as Simone said, we've had folks coming through that are like, I want to help with Simone, and I want to help provide respite. And if you're nervous about it, or if that's if you're just interested, we definitely do license respite homes. We do have some folks that are licensed through us that just provide respite, being able to support the community in that way, just for a weekend, or maybe go on vacation or whatever it might be. And yeah, Simone's really kind of funneled some folks through that are there on her recommendation just to do respite. So
That's awesome. Sam, what are the ages of the children? Can they be older? Somebody like me take them to a baseball game and do a respite on the weekends during baseball season, or how does that
Absolutely.
work? And how old are they?
Yeah, so traditional foster care is age 0 to 17. And then there's also something called extended foster care. And really the licensing process looks the same. There's a couple extra trainings that you would need to do, but that's 0 to 21. And we see the need straight from the hospital, these little babies that are needing some support right out of the hospital, up to ages, the 15, 16, 17. We see sibling groups that are coming through. We see all across the state that need that help. And we know that Native kids are very disproportionately affected in Minnesota. And so that need for ICWA compliant homes is always there, ages 0 to 21.
Thank God for ICWA. Simone, what are some of the drawbacks you feel like, are there any? Because you're with a baby boy being, and giving him good energy and getting good energy back. Is it going to be hard to give him back, and are you going to then look for another one? What does the process look like, and how hard has it been?
That's a great question. There's days where it's hard. Single parenting is always hard. And I get asked that a lot. Like, are you going to be sad when the baby goes back home? Of course I'm going to be sad. Of course I'm going to be heartbroken. Like, I am fully investing in this tiny little life. I also think that's why it's important to have the therapist. And so I do talk to my therapist about that. Like, there is going to be a time where this baby is going to go back. And yeah, I will work with my therapist through that and what that's like. And my hope is to be able to do another infant after that and help another family with reunification. In my little dream world, I would love to be able to connect with these parents that I've helped. And let's say little baby is now 5 and mom is going through another hard time and says, okay, hey, Simone, I know you have a relationship with baby so-and-so, could you take them for the weekend? Could you help in these ways? That would be amazing. That might not be what happens, but in my mind, that's the goal, is to really be that support person long-term also. So it's not just an end of a relationship.
Absolutely.
No, that's really cool to hear. Hey, we got to take a quick break, but we got a really cool question, Sam, I want you to chew on when we get back. And it's, they want to know if you have to be enrolled and assume that there's a criminal background checks and such. And we'll give you a chance to answer that when we get back. Hey, we're with Simone Rendon, foster parent and groovy person with Edible Arts. And we're with Sam Thompson, foster care licensure. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Claudia with MinSure, Minnesota's official health insurance marketplace. With MinSure, you can compare health plans from multiple companies and get free help from a trusted expert. Whatever health plan you choose with MinSure, it's guaranteed to cover essential benefits, so you can get the care you need. See if you qualify for discounts, available only through MinSure. If you need quality, comprehensive health insurance, get started now at minsure.org.
Back to school season is here. And while this is an exciting time for parents, kids, and educators, let's not forget how far we've come in our battle against COVID-19. We're in a better place, but COVID-19 is still here, and we need to continue to help protect our communities. With the flurry of new schedules and classrooms, let's not overlook the fundamentals of staying safe. Wash your hands regularly and watch for any symptoms like fever, chills, a cough, or shortness of breath. Should you or someone you know have COVID-19 symptoms, stay home and get tested. Find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us. Let's have this back to school season be a time of renewed commitment to our collective health and brighter future for our Native communities. Again, find more tips on continuing to be safe at health.state.mn.us.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Right on. That was a good howl. Right to get us in the vacation weekend here. Hey, we are with Simone Rendon, who's a foster care and also foster care parent, and also Sam Thompson, who is with American Indian Family and Children's Services. And I want to start off again, Sam, if you don't mind answering that question. I thought that we have such smart listeners. I thought we'd start off with that question about do you need to be enrolled, and what are the qualifications, and how do you vet out our foster people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do not license exclusively Native families. That is kind of our niche. But nope, you do not need to be enrolled. If you're affiliated or descendancy, just kind of provide that. If you have documentation, we'll work with you. And I mean, we're obviously bound by ICWA requirements, which is federal law. But if you're not enrolled, that's okay. We'll figure it out. That doesn't make you a non-ICWA eligible home. And then for background checks, so yep, even though AIFACS is a private agency, we are still bound by the same statutes as all the counties across the state. And so we do have to do criminal background checks. There's a couple of things that might be like full disqualifiers, and I don't have that list in front of me. But if that is a concern of yours, I would say we can just go through that process, do the background check, and we have some wiggle room. We have some, you're more than your background, and we want to work with you about these things or with these things. So don't let that stop you.
Yeah, definitely. Simone, I just am really happy to know the story. I know Haley knew more of the story than I did, and she got you guys on. So Haley, I'm wondering if you have a question, because I think these two warriors are rocking, and I know this is something that you really were excited to have them on the show.
Yes, well, I guess have more of a question about the respite care and services for them. So is that just taking, a child out for a day trip, or what does that kind of include? Can you kind of give some examples of what that may look like if someone were to do something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So we consider respite in 24-hour increments. So how many nights the child and spending overnights in your care. There are DHS babysitting guidelines that I don't have in front of me, but you want the child in your care to have the most normal life that they could have. And so if that is going for the afternoon with an auntie, if that is if they're an older child and spending the night with a friend, with their workers' permission. I think that's totally within the means that they have. But for respite requirements, if they wanted to provide respite in the home, we just go through a background check, and we would do some training additionally on that. But if you wanted to have that child in your home for the weekend, we would consider that the same license as a long-term foster care provider or a short-term provider.
Oh, good question. Really good
Yeah.
question.
So one of the things, like when people have asked me about respite and about foster care licensing, they're like, well, I don't want to start all over again. And I was like, no. Foster care is amazing. Like, if you know you have zero attention for 5-year-olds, don't get a 5-year-old. Like, you get to ask for what you know you can handle. And being licensed is sort of like getting a driver's license. You don't ever have to drive a car. You don't ever have to buy a car, but you're licensed just in case. And in our community, there's a lot of our family members who have, probably everybody we know, or I know, some family member has had CPS called. And if you're licensed, you're the first person that they reach out to make sure that that child stays within your family. And so I think that alone should make at least one person in every household become licensed. And then respite is like I have another friend who was like, oh, what if I just want to babysit for the weekend? And I was like, that's respite. That would give me a break. You would get your baby fix, and then you get the baby back to me. You don't have to keep the baby longer than the 24, 48 hours or whatever's agreed upon in terms of the respite.
And a really great example too, and this goes back to, your ideal image, right? You have former foster providers that we might have a child that moves into a new home, and that former foster provider is a respite caregiver. So you still get to maintain that connection, that's attachment, and that bond is still there. You still get to meet with that family and build that community while still moving forward and being that primary caregiver. And really having that support network. I know that's someone you've reached out to previous foster providers, and we have some providers that provided respite for another provider. I'm saying provider a lot, but what that looks like is we get to build that community in that space as well.
And it shows that child that people just don't disappear, which I think is huge in our community,
Right.
especially with the past swooping of children, is that people just disappeared. And how do we keep those connections so that way we can raise that generation knowing what attachment is and can be and should be?
Wow. And then, Simone, how important, I know you have an infant, but how important, I guess both Sam and Simone, how important it is to just keep them in the culture and be around that. I mean, that's something with our older children, I imagine, is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why you always saw the baby at the market with me. It was as every cultural appropriate event, I bring baby with. I don't put him in daycare that day. He comes with me because I think even from that newborn stage, hearing the music, hearing the voices, hearing the different accents of all of our people is important, and it gets ingrained.
Wow.
And that's part of AIFACS's mission, right? Is to create this culturally rich environment with these families that are involved in the community. And one thing that's cool about AIFACS, I think, is that foster providers need annual training hours as part of their license requirement, but there's only a few that are mandatory, and you get to have some liberty with the rest of them. And one thing that AIFACS does is that we not only do we reimburse for training, but we count up to 6 hours of like attending powwows, attending cultural events. That is part of your training, and that goes towards your training hours. Like, we're really trying to maintain that emphasis on Indigenous community, and that's your training.
Wow, that's exciting. I'm wondering too, there's a whole bunch of different kids from different nations. Does it matter if you go Ojibwe go with the Ho-Chunk or vice versa, or how does that look and how does that work? Because some cultures are a little different, but when it comes to powwows and community things, we're pretty much the same.
Yeah, well, the short answer is no. The long answer is going into like placement preferences regarding
Mm.
ICWA. So whatever tribe is the child is affiliated with, that placement preference. If they can't find the relative, if they can't find kin, if they can't find a home within their own tribe, they can look at other tribes as well. So short answer is no.
Oh, and I'm just curious because I mean that's something I've looked into. I'm very busy right now, but I don't know if I'll be busy in a year. And it's something I've always wanted to do. Being a former high school teacher is to throw the baseball around, even though I'm 63. And it'd be great to play the creators game, but not break a hip too. But and hang out with some older kids like that were in high school. Simone, do you got any last things? We got 30 seconds left. I really appreciate you two being on.
No, just reach out to Sam if you have any questions. She is amazing. And if she doesn't know the answer, she will find a way to get you the answer.
Wow. Yeah, Pinagigi, you two, thank you so much. What a great, and thank you, Haley, for putting this interview together. Very informative and great work by both of you. And come on, community, let's step up. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
And free Leonard Peltier.
Yeah.
Now.
When a drunk driver hit my car, the structural integrity and safety features of my Toyota Sienna saved my life. I will always